Hello learners, welcome to the session of Water Quality Assessment Part 1. Before going into the details of water quality assessment, we have to understand what is water pollution. We have already learnt about water pollution. We have to define water pollution as the presence of any solid or liquid or gaseous material and the heat generated contaminants which are present in such concentrations that may definitely drastically change the quality of water and thereby impairing the utility of water. So this is a basic definition of water pollution. So water pollution problem has become a more pressing nowadays because of increase in population growth and increased use of per capita material energy also. This gives an increase in the production of byproducts as effluents that reaches water bodies and affect the entire biosphere. So the water pollutants which are generated from anthropogenic activities, they will reach surface and groundwater through various pathways. So these pollutants are categorized as point and non-point sources. For example, effluents from factories or sewage systems are the point sources, and agricultural runoffs and atmospheric deposition are some of the examples of the non-point sources. We know that water is an excellent solvent for many chemicals which have adverse health effects on the environment. For example, petroleum products are there, pesticide runoffs are there, and industrial chemicals that pollute many water bodies even at low concentrations. So the pollution and contaminations, these are the two words normally we will use interchangeably in environmental matters to describe the introduction of a substance at a concentration that is sufficient to give a harmful effect on the human beings or animals or plant life. So the word pollution is more strictly used to describe contamination that is caused or induced by the human activities, typically measured by reference to the predetermined permissible or recommended maximum limits. So pollution of a body of water that occurs normally when an impurity like microorganism or any chemical which we can consider as an impurity is introduced by or as a result of human activities that creating an actual or potential danger to human health or the general environment when present at high concentrations. So many anthropogenic activities will generate a significant microbiological contaminant load at the land surface. For example, irrigation by wastewater, intensive livestock raising and meat processing, on-site sanitation. So in contrast to this one, chemical contamination is also there in the presence of microbiological contaminants that indicates rapid movement to the water table from the ground surface because most pathogenic microorganisms have only limited persistence. Bacteria, for instance, have the survival times measured in days or months. So water gets contaminated by human use for different purposes like household use and industrial use, agricultural use like that. So the contaminated water is known as, normally it is a wastewater which is required to be estimated by the known methods of analysis. So quantitative analysis of wastewater is also indicated by the predictable parameters. So definitely it provides the nature of waste and its potential impact on the health of environment and the human health. So the physico-chemical and biological parameters are also there to consider the water quality analysis. So these are some of the total suspended solids, pH, dissolved oxygen or total dissolved solids, oil, turbidity and biochemical oxygen demand BOD and chemical oxygen demand. So let us first understand these parameters, how it will work and then how to calculate them. So first we have to consider total suspended solids, that is TSS. So the particles that are larger than 2 microns and non-filterable are considered as suspended solids. So these particles are, maybe it is a sediment, it is a sand, silt or the plankton, algae or animal decay, and also sometimes it is a chemical precipitates. So the heavier suspended particles are settled at the bottom of the water body. from the longer period of time, and also these are known as sediments or the bed load. And the remaining particles which float on the water surface is known as the colloids. So what are the effects of this one? So these suspended solids, this changes the color and also reduces the light penetration into the water bodies, that definitely affecting the photosynthesis process, and also the generation of the oxygen completely ceases. And then hypoxic, inadequate supply of the oxygen at the tissue level. So the increase in TSS definitely increases the water temperature and decreases in dissolved oxygen levels. The high rate of heat absorption by the totally suspended solids than clear water, that increases the temperature of surrounding water by the process of conduction. And then because of this conduction process, there is a decrease in dissolved oxygen levels. Another effect we can also see, that increase in surface water temperature is the water stratification, because the lower levels of water become hypoxic in nature for the survival of the organisms. And then we will comes to the next criteria, that is a pH. It is a chemical parameter that values between 0 to 14 on a defined scale. It provides the intensity of the acidity and then alkalinity or the basicity, we can say, of a given water sample along a logarithmic scale. So it has a direct influence on the treated procedures. So it provides a critical information in the treatment of wastewater that removes heavy metals or the organic compounds. So the effluents are the waste generated from the factories that contain heavy and toxic metals and also dissolved form. They will be removed by altering the pH by different suitable methods. High or low pH of water that kill water organisms and also sterilize the water bodies, and so it resulted in inactivity the vital organisms in wastewater treatment. If you will consider another parameter, that is a dissolved oxygen, it is a non-compound free oxygen in the stream of water, which is an important criteria to assess the quality of water. So the dissolved oxygen for aquatic animals, that is also varies from the species to species, of course, that is 1 to 6 milligrams per liter to 4 to 15 milligrams per liter. So the dissolved oxygen is highly required for microbial decomposition of organic material at the bottom of the water. So the DO levels decrease with the increase of the temperature and the concentration of the salts and the increase in pressure also. And the next one is the total dissolved solids, TDS. So it is a measure of organic and inorganic substance in a given liquid or given sample. So TDS is mainly constitute the calcium, magnesium, sodium and potassium cations and carbonate, hydrogen carbonate, chlorides, sulfates and nitrate anions. We also experience at our homes. We will also check the water criteria of TDS from RO. Regularly we will check about that how much TDS is there in our drinking water. So the organoleptic properties like taste, color, odor, feel of water with respect to TDS in general, if it is less than 300 milligrams per liter, we can consider it as an excellent. If it is in between 300 to 600 milligrams per liter, we can consider it as a good, and 600 to 900 milligrams per liter, it is fair, and 900 to 1200 milligrams per liter in between, we can consider it as a poor, and above 1200 milligrams per liter, it is an unacceptable. So TDS in water treatment is generated from the urban and the agricultural runoff, sewage, industrial wastewater, and also some road de-icing salts and natural sources are also there. And next criteria is the turbidity. Turbidity is the only parameter which has the optical determination. So it is an indicator of water quality on the basis of clarity and relatively estimated TDS in water. So turbid water looks cloudy and then colored sometimes because of the suspended solids, that is based on the amount of light scattered by this. So in addition to this, the colored dissolved organic matter is also there, that is a fluorescent dissolved organic matter. Normally it comes from the dyes, the industries, so that enhances the turbidity of the water. Another factor is biochemical oxygen demand. So it is the amount of dissolved oxygen that is required for microbial metabolism of organic compounds in water at certain temperature, that is approximately 200 degrees centigrade or 20 degrees centigrade, and also period of time that is approximately 5 days. So, it is a chemical procedure to measure the quantity of dissolved oxygen that indicates the quality of water. So, it is dependent on temperature, pH, microorganisms and organic and inorganic materials. Next, we will move on to the chemical oxygen demand, that is COD. So, it is the amount of oxygen required in chemical oxidation of organic matter that is present in water. It is essentially indicates the amount of oxidizable pollutants which are present in the water body to help to know the pollution levels. So, now we have to mainly concentrate on water pollution. So, there are number of sources which are responsible for adding pollutants to the running water, underground water or natural water bodies. So, the pollutants can come from whether it is whatever it is the industry, whether it is a food processing or petrochemical, textile, tanning, paper industry, and also from the agrochemicals and also the sewage. So, it is important to define the water quality by several parameters like physical, chemical and biological. So, the deterioration of the quality of surface water and groundwater, also the coastal water systems in natural ecosystem is mainly based on the geological structure and the lithology of the watersheds or otherwise aquifers. So, with this rapid industrialization as well as the urbanization, the chemical reactions which are taking place within the watershed and also the type of land uses and also the anthropogenic activities greatly affect the water quality. So, water quality assessment is the overall process of evaluation of the parameters which we have already discussed, that is the physical, chemical and biological nature of the water, and the water quality monitoring is a collection of the relevant information. So, there are qualitative and quantitative measures are also required from time to time to constantly monitor the quality of water from the various sources of supply. So, the key factors which involved in the water quality analysis are, the first one is sampling and selection of parameters and precision and accuracy of the method selected, preservation and reporting the values and also proper labeling. So, if you will see that experimental methods, there are various testing methods, procedures and parameters are available to analyze water quality, and are also they are grouped into the physical, chemical, bacteriological and microscopic categories. First, we will see that what are the physical methods. So, physical tests that indicates the properties which are detectable by the human senses like color, turbidity, total solids, dissolved solids, suspended solids, odor and taste that can be analyzed through physical experiments. Color in water may also because of the presence of minerals like iron and manganese or some substances of the present which are the origin of the vegetables like algae and weeds. So, turbidity in water because of the suspended solids and colloidal matter, they may be due to the sometimes corroded soil which is caused by the dredging or due to the growth of the microorganisms. Sometimes bad smell, that is the odor and taste, is also associated with the presence of some living microscopic organisms, or sometimes it is decaying organic matter like weeds, algae or the industrial waste, and that contains ammonia, phenols, halogens and hydrocarbons. Next, we will come to the chemical method. So, chemical methods of water analysis are identification and quantification chemical components which are present in that and their properties of the water samples. So, this can be again classified into electrochemical methods or spectroscopic methods, chromatographic methods. So, electrochemical methods, they will utilize the electrical properties of the analyte, and then water quality impact analysis is to determine the concentrations. And some of the common techniques like pH, conductivity, ion specific electrodes and amperometry, voltammetry will be used. And basically spectroscopy is based on the how energy is absorbed and reflected, transmitted or refracted, the changes, the information and also determined by the different techniques. It can be again classified into absorption spectroscopy, emission spectroscopy, and inductively coupled plasma spectroscopy, Raman spectroscopy, nuclear magnetic resonance spectroscopy, NMR, X-ray adsorption near edge spectroscopy, and extended X-ray adsorption. And chromatographic analytical technique is also there for the separating a mixture of chemical substances into an individual components, so that individual components can have thoroughly analyzed. So there are many types of chromatographic techniques we can use in this analysis. Liquid chromatography, gas chromatography, ion exchange chromatography, affinity chromatography, but all of these are having the same basic principles. So electrochemical methods are applied for pH, color for the electrical conductivity, total solids, that is the total dissolved solids, turbidity, dissolved oxygen. So the spectroscopic methods which are applied for analyzing the water quality parameters like calcium, magnesium, nitrates, trace metals, phosphates, sulfates, chlorides, carbon dioxide, potassium, sodium, and are also experimented. So complex organic pollutants like polyaromatic hydrocarbons, pesticides, dioxins are also measured using chromatographic techniques. We'll come to the biological method. Certain pathogenic bacteria, viruses and parasites like protozoa or helminthes which are present in the drinking water, they cause widespread health effects and diseases. So these microorganisms are mainly of the fecal in origin and also known as the enteric pathogens. So the most common bacterial pathogens are the Vibrio cholerae, that is responsible for cholera, and also Salmonella typhi, that is causes the typhoid fevers, and waterborne pathogens are also there that causes the death worldwide. And drinking water supply and recreational waters also requires routine testing is required for microbial pathogens. And sometimes analytical procedures for the detection of the harmful organisms are also used for these analytical procedures for the detection of harmful organisms. So it is now possible to detect the presence of many pathogens in water. So the methods of isolation, the enumerations which are frequently complex and time consuming. So impractical to monitor drinking water for every possible micropathogens, so that will gives the contamination. So the Escherichia coli is considered as the common fecal indicator bacterium. So it is excreted in the feces of all warm-blooded animals and some reptiles also. So bacteriological analysis of drinking water samples was done by multi-tube fermentation method. The most probable number of bacteria present in water sample has been estimated from the specially developed statistical table. So the confirmatory test on the selective culture medium were also performed. Coliform bacteria analysis of drinking water samples was done by most probable number method of diluted sample 1:10. That is a lauryl tryptose broth as well as the brilliant bile broth were used as a growth media. And fecal coliform, that is a fecal coliform bacteria were analyzed by the inoculation method, and also coliform positive lauryl tryptose broth tubes were inoculated on EC broth and incubated for 24 hours at 44.5 degrees centigrade. So these were analyzed by streaking method. So streaking inoculums looped from positive EC broth tube on using methylene blue agar plates and also incubated for 24 to 48 hours at 35 degrees centigrade. So you will be seeing in this diagram that how these plates will appear like. So once these colonies were confirmed by indole test. So the physical models, the main characteristic of physical models is that they are built on the reduced scale in comparison to nature. So we have to see these one as the scaled models. So before the development of high speed computers, physical models were used successfully in several fields of waste, water quality impacts and management, and to a lesser extent they are still used today. There are two important limitations on their application. One is only comparatively small domains can be modeled. Example like river sections or the areas around underwater outlets. And the second one is generally only hydrodynamic circulation can be simulated on scale models, and therefore their applications are more in the field of hydraulics, that is a river and coastal engineering, than in the area of water quality studies. And physical models are always more or less limited in space, therefore it is very difficult, and then sometimes it is impossible to simulate on the scale model. So the physical phenomena that occurs very large regions in the nature, that is in nature. A remote sensing that can be extremely useful tool in the environmental modeling. So the remote sensing data that can be used for obtaining initial and boundary conditions, we can say, for better determination of the problematic over open boundary conditions, and especially for the calibration verification it is also used. So it is a remote sensing data, it will cover a large regions with a detailed sampling density, and also it will matches well with the computational domain of the global ocean models or the mesoscale models, and frequently it is used for the coastal sea models. So these models are directly used as a management tools. So these are the theoretical, if you will consider the output of these models, simulation is the final one. So that means optimal measure of the water quality sanitation can be used by this one. So the physical models which are frequently unable to simulate these processes, especially over a very large space domains. So biological and chemical processes can rarely be simulated by physical models. Mathematical models are also there. There is no universal and general applicable procedure for mathematical modeling of water resource quality, but there are some conditions that may help to formulate a general procedure for the testing the model. The aim of this one is the number of variables and thus keep the relationship between the variables as simple as possible without compromising the accuracy of the representation of the environmental system. If you will see this one, the equation where it has been given that it is an example of a mathematical model which is present in the simple water quality mixing model that is based on the simplest of mass balance equation. So the water quality model that what we have seen over here, the equation that assumes the continuous discharge of the conservative contaminant into a stream. So here it is a downstream concentration, and it is a CO is the upstream concentration, and CE is the effluent concentration, and Q0 is the upstream flow, and QE is the effluent flow. So this model may be used to predict changes in downstream effluent concentrations in response to pollutants loading by the changing the values of effluent concentration. CE, that is a loading concentration, and the effluent flow, that is QE. So these are much more, mathematical models are much more economical than either physical models or the field measurements. So when a mathematical model is developed, it should be well calibrated and should be verified, and also it can be used for the solution of other similar problems that will economizes the solutions. So the solutions can usually be obtained in much shorter time with mathematical model than with the physical models or the field measurements. So the major advantage of the mathematical model is the data can be stored for possible later applications also. That means it is not like that once we have taken the sample and then we have given the measurements, we have to discard that one. But this we can store. So even the data for a very complex topography of a computational domain also can be saved on a small file. So another advantage of this water quality model, mathematical model, is that we can simulate different even not very well known processes and the response of a physical system to understand and ascertain the kind of forcing. So by comparing the results of these simulations with field measurements and also the observations that we can have that better understanding of physical, biological and chemical process and find more accurate mathematical descriptions of this process. So it is very important to understand that right choice and use of mathematical models can reduce to a minimum the number of necessary and also usually very expensive field of measurements. With the mathematical models, the best locations for taking samples in field measurements can also be determined. It will also beneficial for the sites which are inaccessible due to special environmental issues. With this, I would like to conclude, you must have definitely benefited with these mathematical models of water quality assessment in water impact analysis. Thank you.